What's up, folks? Welcome back from the communist state of New York. I'm Jeff, and this is Modern Munitions. Thanks for tuning in. As you can see, we're doing something a little bit different. Today, we're going to go back to what I did probably about a month ago as it related to what everyone likes to say, shit hits the fan, the bug out bag, and bugging out, right? I'm going to do a two-part series and just have an open conversation, right? A lot of questions of the reality of bugging out versus bugging in. Hopefully none of us will ever have to go through any emergency which would even have us consider that. But as you folks know, we're in crazy times. I'm up here in the middle of the wilderness. I got my 45-70 lever action. And, you know, what is the reality of bugging out, right? Especially for folks coming from a city. If you watch this channel, you know I'm from an urban environment. And the reality is, listen, if shit hits the fan or whatever you want to call it, the end of the world as we know it, for the folks that have families, you know, it's hard to say, is bugging out even a reality, right? That for you to bug out, you all have to be together at the same time. A lot of us folks that live in the city, you have, you know, a loved one that might work in New York City during the week. Your kids are probably in a school in a different county, right? Even if they were in the city at the same time, it's like this whole plan about bugging out. I'm sure you're going to want to take your family with you, right? And the reality is, if something does happen, you know, chances are you're not going to be together, right? Your wife is going to be down here, your kids are going to be over here, and by the time that you do get together, hopefully, if you can get together, highways and everything else is going to be really fucked up. I don't know if you folks saw that movie. A lot of folks are talking about this new Obama movie about that cyber attack. And I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. I saw it a few weeks ago, but, you know, some pretty interesting things. You know, I'm out here now in the wilderness, and even if you can get up here, which is a whole different conversation in itself we'll address in a minute. And if you see me looking around, I'm in black bear country. I got the Glock 20 Gen 5 with me. Got some Underwood penetrators in here, 220 grain hard cast. But if you see me looking around, listen, I'm a city boy, country kid at heart, but when, you know, hear shit, you know, I'm always looking around to see what's around me. But anyway, back to the video. You know, bugging out is a real easy thing to say and real easy to fantasize about going to live in the woods and things like that. But when it comes down to it, especially in New York, unless you're really rural or can get to a really rural area, you know, it's going to be tough, right? Because even if you do get up to a place like this, and look how beautiful it is, right? I'm up here in the mountains. I got an entire lake by myself. I'm sitting up here probably on a few hundred acres with nobody around. But at the same time, right, when you're talking about shit hits the fan and survival, you know, a lot of folks think, oh, I'll just grab my rifle and get, you know, go kill a deer, and, you know, we got food to last and everything else. You know, even if you can hunt, and it's something I'm getting into, and we'll do other videos on that, you know, it comes down to, too, do you want to give away your location, right? If you shoot an animal and you're bugging out, even if you're in a place like this, a few hundred acres, you know, there's going to be folks out there that are hungry. There's going to be folks out there that are listening for noises, 4 people that might be hunting and 4 people that might have some food. So that's, you know, things to consider. You know, once again, I just want to have an open conversation about bugging out. I know I have a bug out bag, but like I said, even in my bug out bag video, I didn't necessarily refer to it as a bug out bag. There's a lot of different names. It's an, you know, inch bag, I'm never coming home, things like that. Now, everybody, I think, should have a bag anyway, and it doesn't mean fantasizing about going to survive in the wilderness for the rest of your life, but having things like water filtration, fire starting equipment, medical equipment, these are things that could come in handy even in a blackout situation, right? We've seen what happened, especially us folks in the Northeast a few years back with the blackout that lasted a few weeks. If you're not familiar with that, you can look it up. I want to give a quick shout out to somebody else I follow, and he spoke about this in a few videos, but NY Prepper, Great YouTuber. He's been doing this for a long time, knows a lot about firearms, prepping. He lives in PA, but I did want to call him out. I've picked up a lot of things from him over the years, and you know, now that I have a channel, you actually really appreciate what other folks are doing. So just wanted to shout him out. Go check out his videos. I'm going to actually put a link to one below. He did a whole cool series. It's called The Dark Winter, about what would happen in a nuclear event, which is pretty interesting. So check that out. But once again, when we talk about bugging out, I mean, this is something that, you know, like I said, unless you're somewhere, you know, in hundreds of acres, and not only that, but you better have a crew that's strapped up with you. If you think you're just going to go out as a lone wolf, or you and a few buddies, you know, with a handgun or a rifle or whatever, good luck with that. Because I'll tell you what, like I said, I'm in an urban environment, but I spend enough time up in the mountains to know that these folks are not going to be too welcoming to a bunch of city guys. Sorry about that, got some sparks, but hey, this is live and unedited. But, you know, a lot of these folks up in the mountains aren't going to be so keen to letting a bunch of city folks up there. And it's funny, that's why I brought up New York Prepper, or NY Prepper, in his dark series, in his Dark Winter Nuclear series. It was pretty interesting because he's kind of surveying his property. Now, he's up there in the middle of nowhere, and he said something like, you know, it might just be a matter of time before some of the city guys come up there, and, you know, we're not going to have it. And that's a fact. You know, a lot of city folks don't think about that. I think a lot of people are very delusional when they say, you know what, in emergency, I'm just going to come to your place and we'll fucking get in the car and go upstate and live off the land. Like, yeah, okay, good luck with that. Not to mention, it gets cold up here in the winter. You know, what are you going to do to survive in the cold? Now, I'll do a follow-up video, because I'm not knocking bugging out 100%. Like I said, this is an open conversation, and anything in life, you should look at every angle. You should look at the pros and cons of everything, right? It sounds very cool if it wasn't an emergency, but anytime you're doing shit in the outdoors is pretty cool. So I'm not knocking it 100%. Now, there are pros to bugging out. I'll show you a clip, but, you know, I'll do another small video. You know, shit hits the fan vehicle, right? Even if you do want to bug out, how are you going to get to where you're going, or how are you going to get to places that are a little bit more off-road? You're not going to do that with a Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord, right? I got a Jeep Rubicon. Not that you need a Rubicon, but any Jeep, any pickup truck, any truck in general with ground clearance is something to consider. You know, motorbikes, not Harleys, but dirt bikes. You know, big thing that would come in handy in a shit hits the fan situation, or ATVs, things like that. So you always want to think about vehicles. Got my stream light on. I was hearing something behind me, so I just want to put the light on for a second. That's another thing, right? Everybody in the city thinks they could just come out here and live off the land. And let me tell you, man, staying in the woods, unless you're used to it, it creep you out a little bit. But anyway, check this view out while I got my light up. The lake is just starting to freeze over, a light coating of ice, but really cool up here. And that's another thing, right? Have some places picked out already that you think you're going to be interested in bugging out to. Don't wait till the last minute. You know, you should have 4 to 5 different locations, and you should have one in pretty much every direction. You know, everybody thinks, oh, what if New York City gets hit? You know, we're all going to go up north. You know, let me tell you, things don't always work according to plan. You know, up north might get hit. Folks might have to go down south. Another thing to keep in mind, right? Don't just, you know, you always have plans. Once again, you look at my video on my bug out bag. I have so many, I got backups to my backups to my backups. Very important. One of the most important things, and it's a little harder for us folks in New York City or any of these other communist states, is finding like-minded individuals, right? I'm not talking about different sides of politics. I'm talking about, you know, growing up in New York, A lot of folks make you feel like if you're into guns, like you're crazy, you're a psychopath, something's wrong with you. So, you know, unless you're from upstate New York, a lot of us city folks didn't grow up with things like that. And getting like-minded individuals. Sorry for the smoke. A lot of smoke. I saw it go right in front of the camera, but you want to be around like-minded individuals. Once again, it goes back to, if you think you're just going to go up and survive on your own with a few folks, man, you got another thing coming, man. People are going to be, I don't want to say ganged up, but, you know, a lot of gangs in urban environments, right? A lot of groups. You're going to want a group of people. You're going to want a group of people that have arms, that know how to use them, that practice using them. You're going to want to have folks that have their own trauma kits, their own water filtration. You know, it's one thing to be stocking up on things, but it's another thing when you got a real team of folks behind you, right? So I highly encourage, if you don't already have a group of individuals that you talk about things with, you know, it's something you should consider, right? Like I said earlier in this video, what if your wife is working in the city and you work in, let's say, you know, a different county up north, but you got a buddy that works in the city, right? Wouldn't it be smart to have a plan ahead of time and say, hey, do me a favor, man. If you can, get to my wife. I'm going to grab your kids while, you know, I'm grabbing my kids. We'll meet here. And then, you know, if I don't hear from you in X amount of time, move to plan B, right? It sounds crazy. It sounds apocalyptic, but it doesn't hurt. It never hurts. For you folks from New York like me, I mean, you know, another thing to think about for city folks is, especially a lot of us live in apartment buildings. How are you going to get all of your shit out of your apartment building and downstairs into your vehicle, or to meet up with folks that are coming to pick you up? So another thing to think about in a bug out situation, get a hand cart, something that's sturdy. Don't get something you take to the beach and throw a few sandwiches and, you know, your wife packed up some fruits and all of that shit. Get some sturdy stuff, man, that you can throw your bag on, throw your rifles, throw your ammo. We all know ammo weighs a ton. So make sure, if you live in an apartment, even folks that live in houses, some of you folks got big houses, you know, you're going to want something like a pallet with wheels, man. Throw your shit on there, get it out, and get out. But, you know, as far as bugging out, and this is the theme of this video, is it a reality? You folks let me know what you think. I want to hear from both sides. I want to hear about the folks in the cities. And it obviously doesn't have to be just New York. I mean, you got Chicago out there, you got LA, you got Miami. I want to hear about folks in different regions too. So that would be interesting. And then I want to hear from the rural folks, right? Do you agree with me? Like, what, you know, I know a lot of you guys get together. You know, I got friends down south, and I go to their house and they talk about, a lot of these guys got plans to block off their rural areas, right? Like maybe there's only one main road to some of these places. These guys are already thinking about, man, we're going to block this off with, you know, we'll burn out a car or something else. So I'd love to hear from the rural folks in the comments too. What do you think about city folks planning on bugging out and coming up to where you might be living? I'm sure you're not going to be too happy about that. So anyway, when it comes to me, I got plans, right? I got folks that live upstate. But, you know, is it a reality, or are you even going to make it to these places? So, you know, kind of wanted to talk about that. I'm going to do a follow-up video. We're going to talk about part 2 to this, bugging in. And I'm going to do that from my urban environment and kind of show you, you know, what traffic is like on a normal day without a fucking emergency. You know, make you think. It really will make you think. Like I said, it's good to prepare. Don't stop preparing. All you city guys, you know, have plans. I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying not to bug out or you can't bug out. But what I am saying is, you know, and another thing, it depends on the situation, right? A nuclear attack is way different than a blackout, which is way different than a Cat 5 hurricane, which is way different than a supply chain shortage. A lot of different scenarios, right? So, you know, when you think about this whole bug out conversation again, are you bugging out for 30 days? Are you bugging out for 2 weeks? Are you leaving and not coming back? You know, these are things you got to think about. The other thing, and this is a reality. This is a reality nobody wants to talk about. Wherever you go, whether you're bugging in or bugging out, whether you're leaving with folks and planning on staying with them, or whether you're going to be hosting folks and bugging in, you better damn well make sure that you like these people, because the reality is tough times call for some real tough decisions. And let's say it is a shit hits the fan situation and all hell's broken loose. You know, you see that movie once again, like the Obamas. Let me tell you something, man. Someone tried, you know, some of that stuff in the movie, you got to be willing to make decisions to protect your own. That's what I'm saying. And if you're not 100% confident that you could get along with folks, or you might have some past grievances or grudges, you know, get that shit off your shoulder, because in a shit hits the fan situation, when you're all stuck in one place, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late to get shit off of your mind. Number one, you're either going to get kicked out of the place you're staying in. Hey, maybe the people that are coming to stay with you are planning on taking over your place. So a lot of different situations. People's attitudes really change in a panic situation. That's something you did see in a movie, which I do agree with in that movie. People, when people panic, they become scary, because you don't know what someone's going to do. They're not level-headed. They're not thinking straight. And that's scary enough in itself. Forget about what's going on in the current environment. That's scary shit in itself. So keep that in mind. I hope you folks are enjoying this conversation. Like I said, I just want to talk about the realities. There's tons of videos on YouTube where folks are talking about bug out bags and leaving and surviving. I see folks doing videos where they're walking down fucking roads going in the middle of nowhere with the rifles, right? And listen, once again, not saying you can't do that, but there's realities, and then there's thinking out every angle. Another thing, and then I'll probably wrap up this video soon, is when you are surrounding yourself with these individuals, these like-minded individuals, try to pick folks that have different skills. Or if folks don't have skills, start training for shit now, right? Take a Stop the Bleed course. Take a gardening course if you don't know this stuff. Be with folks that know how to hunt if you don't know how to hunt. Know how to field dress an animal. Be with folks that know how to take apart firearms and clean firearms and know how to shoot, right? Not everybody's going to be the same. You know, personally, I know what my skills are, and I know the skills that I lack. And the skills that I lack, I constantly try to surround myself around individuals that have those skills, and I can learn from it. And give me 1 second. Again, I'm hearing a lot of rumbling out there. Could be a deer. And I'm not just doing this for the video, because trust me, that's not the case. I am in major black bear country right now. Ton of black bear where I am. I'm literally right on the PA border. It could be deer. It could be, you know, whatever. But like I said, I just like to, if I hear something, I'm going to see what's out there. Also, my other videos, that's why it's important when you're out here to have a light on your gun. Once again, this is a 10 millimeter. I shoot with this gun a lot, things like that. But back to the topic. You know, let me know what you think. Like, I'd love to hear if you like this type of video, right? I'll do a part 2, like I said, more bugging in. We'll talk about the vehicle in a different video. What constitutes, or what vehicle should you have if you do got to leave. And then we'll do a shit hits the fan weapons, right? I think this topic is pretty big right now. It's something I've been doing for years. Little by little, you got to prepare for things in life. And it's not overnight, so it's never too late in life either, right? I'm in my mid-40s. I'm just getting into hunting now. So keep growing, folks. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate all you subscribers. You know, let's keep this going. Stay tuned for part 2, and stay 2A safe.